Hi Tribe, welcome back to Crow's Whispers Tarot. Today we're looking at your higher self and how your higher self will guide you today. Let's go on to selecting the piles.
Okay guys, here are the piles. So pile 1, pile 2, pile 3 and pile 4.
Hi pile 1, so this is your message regarding your messages from your higher self. So let's get into the reading. So starting off with, it seems like you're the type of person who has a lot of friends and a lot of people who you want in your life. And with the Three of Cups here, it really shows that you're trying to gain a higher perspective of the types of friends that you need in your life. And I think over the years, you've sort of been having a lot of relationships and friendships with a lot of people, but over time it's sort of got to a point where you can't really figure out if they're on your side or if they're plotting against you or if something just doesn't fit. And so I think over the last few months or so, you have been sort of looking at trying to decide if that person's good enough for you in your life. And with the Justice card here, it's really being clear cut with who you need in your life and who you don't need in your life. And I think that's where things are getting a bit tricky for you. I think at this point in time, you're really struggling with trying to figure out if, you know, that person is worth it to you or if they're having enough skills and responses that are suiting your best need. And it's not in the sense that, you know, they have to give something to you and you have to receive something in return. It's more along the lines of, do they suit your highest good? And I think that's where it becomes a bit tricky, because you do have, with the Seven of Cups here, a lot of people in your life that are there, but it's the people that you need in your life that give you the most emotional comfort and the most amount of sense of self. And I think with the Seven of Cups here, there are some people in your life that they either, when you're with them for a long time, it feels like you're emotionally overwhelmed or just stressed and you don't feel like you're being your true self. I think that's where we're sort of struggling quite a bit. And with that, it comes, you know, a lot of pressure on keeping relationships and maintaining relationships. And I think at the moment, you're really struggling with trying to figure out who is worth it to you and who's sort of the snake in the background that maybe you may not need as much in your life, or maybe even just keeping distance. And what your guides are trying to show you actually is that you see and connect to the universe. So you're very well aware with your third eye exactly what's going on in your life and exactly what you need. And I think that's the main thing. So you are on the right path and you are very clear with what you want, and use your intuition to really judge who you need and who you don't need in your life. That may mean that you're going to create a lot of distance and break ties with a lot of people in your life. Well, not so much a lot of people, but there are certain relationships that definitely won't end well in that sense. But for the most part, it is the best thing for you, because with the Ten of Swords here, it's better to have those endings, because that creates new opportunities for new people who are worth it to you to come into your life. And that's the main thing, because it's better to have people that make you feel happy and don't feel like you're mentally and emotionally dragged down all the time. And I think that's the biggest thing at the moment with what you're dealing with, is that you have been struggling with those sort of overwhelming feelings, and it's really up to your best judgment to decide who is worth it to you and who is not. And the main thing that Spirit's trying to point out is that it's not the person or their personality or anything like that that is going to influence your decision. It's how you genuinely feel with when you spend time with this person. So that could mean that when you're with them for a really long time, it feels like you become either more and more angry or just feeling like you're really anxious just spending time with that person. Or it could just mean that it's not a connection that you see yourself in for a long period of time. It might be, great for the short term, and it could be beneficial for the short term, but always consider like what's best for you long term. With the endings here with the Ten of Swords, the other thing that they would like to point out is that once you get past all those obstacles and decide for yourself what you need, mentally, with the Eight of Wands here, things will speed up much quicker than what you expect, and you'll actually feel a lot lighter once it happens. And yes, in the short term, not ideal with, the amount of stress of, cutting out ties and changing energies and things like that. But for yourself, your higher self is trying to point out that there will be such a lift in your energy and in your mood, and that is the biggest change that you need. And so overall, definitely you are on the right path and things are working out really well for you. So always consider focusing on yourself. I think that's the main thing at the moment, is just focus on yourself, focus on your needs, and everything will fall into place. So if you're feeling anxious about having relationships that aren't quite working out the way you think they should, perhaps it's a reason for that, and perhaps within yourself that it's not quite the energy that you need for the time being. So that was your reading for today. Hope you enjoyed it. I will see you in the next one. Bye. Hi Pal 2, this is your reading for messages on your higher self. So with the Ace of Swords here, it shows that you're the type of person who really is on the ball when it comes to thinking, processing things in your mind. You definitely have your mind running a lot of the time, and it shows that here you're someone who might be prone to overthinking, and because of that you end up sort of bogged down a lot of the time, and it takes you a while to really push forward and move past those really sort of overrun thoughts, I think. And a lot of the time it takes you probably a few weeks to actually get past this energy, and that's sort of holding you back a lot of the time. And it can also be with this that you're currently in a space where you're not really having much of a chance to really sit down and process your emotions and think through more than the superficial of what's going on today, and really sit down and plan for the long term. I think with this you're really trying to think up new ideas, push forward with a lot of things, mainly regarding work, I'm getting at this point. And yes, it's good for the short term. Yes, you have a lot of projects and things that you're working on, but I think you're focused more with the Six of Swords here. You're focused more on the current situation rather than the path ahead. And I think that's the biggest thing at the moment, is that you're not quite focused enough on your trajectory. You're sort of just putting all your energy into one spot, but not really considering if that's the right thing necessarily for you at this stage. That's the vibe I'm getting at the moment. And the other thing is that at the moment you have this card here with the root chakra of I am angry, and it is overactive with this chakra. It means, in that sense, it means that because your mind is rolling hundreds of miles per hour, essentially it means that you are not in the moment and you don't feel like you have your feet on the ground. And that's a lot with that air energy there, where you're not feeling like you're stable and that you're grounded and that your path is clear. And I think what Spirit really wants you to understand with that guidance is that you need to make a decision on where you want to go at this point. And that's the biggest thing that you have to do, is really think about what your path is with the Two of Swords here. And consider that your higher self is already knowing where you would go in this life. It's not like it's set in stone, but from their perspective, they have a good idea of where you would be. So what that means is, I think it's really your decision in this case of where you go from here in terms of grounding yourself. I feel like a lot of you, because you're always in your head and always overthinking, you don't have a sense of pulling back. So I think the main thing that they would like is for you to really meditate. I think meditation would be really good for this group in that sense, with the Two of Swords especially, because with your mind constantly on overdrive, you don't really have a chance to pause and take time for yourself and really think through what's required for you. I think a lot with this card, because you are using your head a lot of the time, you forget to focus on the present, and especially it's almost like you'll have your eyes closed a lot of the time and just sort of powering through without really seeing what's going on around you and spending time with what is around you. So that's definitely something you should consider. So the main message then for you guys is pause, which is really interesting. In terms of messages for your current mental state, we have the Seven of Wands. Now, usually this card would mean like trying to defend yourself from people, but in this case, I would take it more as trying to defend yourself from overthinking and spend time trying to ground yourself and create space for yourself. And that could potentially mean that you're going to put up healthy boundaries on where work is in terms of how much time you spend with work as well. And a lot of the times we sort of try and put all of our energy into doing something, but if I almost feel like this group is like always getting phone calls from work and always trying to pick up phone calls and answer phone calls at weird hours of the night and sort that out. But I think you definitely need healthy boundaries in terms of where you spend your energy and how often people have access to you. And I think that's the main thing at the moment, is trying to figure out exactly what you would like to do with your time. And with the World card here, your higher self feels like once you set those boundaries, once you feel secure with where you are and your time and your energy and where you put yourself, things will work out really well for you. World card is all about new cycles starting. So it could be that once you set these healthy boundaries, you may potentially get a promotion, or you may get more benefits at work, or even more time for yourself. I think the main thing is trying to put yourself out there and set yourself aside for success. And I think that's sort of where this group wants to go, but because you're spending your energy with things that are quite superficial and not quite long term, you're sort of getting yourself a bit stuck. So always consider that you are in control of everything that goes around you, and always consider that you are the first thing that you should look after rather than something else. That's the main thing. That's it for this group. So pile 2, I hope you enjoyed your reading, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi pile 3, so here is your reading for messages from your higher self. So with this group, I feel like you guys have been really struggling with trying to figure out where you sort of sit with the people around you. And with the Seven of Swords here, it shows that you feel like you're out of place a lot of the time, and that you almost have imposter syndrome with a lot of what's going on in your life. I feel like you guys have been struggling with trying to find your place and trying to figure out exactly where you want to be in the groups you're in, or in the communities you're in online as well. I feel like you guys have been struggling with that aspect of your life, and that has been giving you a lot of anxiety. We see that here with the Nine of Swords, is that you have been struggling mentally with trying to keep up with a lot of the things in your life at the moment, and you are definitely getting very overwhelmed. This feels very different from pile 2. That was also a lot of sword energy and air energy, but I feel like you guys are almost drowning or really struggling to stay afloat with a lot of the communities that you have around you. I feel like you guys are definitely the type of person who would, you know, explore new things and trial new things, and always feel like you want to communicate with people, you want to, you know, get to know as many people as you can. But I think the one thing you guys have been really struggling with is almost starting new conversations with people and trying to put yourself out there. I think that this group has really been struggling to push forward and make yourselves known to a lot of people, and making your true selves known to a lot of people. I think you guys really hold back on talking about who you are and what you do, and really communicating to people and being open with people. I think that's something that you guys hold back on. I feel like you guys don't really talk about your own emotions to others, and that is something that has definitely been holding you back over, I feel like, for a long time. You guys haven't really had the opportunity to really push yourselves forwards and present yourself the best way you want to. And we see here with the solar plexus chakra, with I have a victim mindset right now. It's sort of, you feel like you don't fit in, but you also don't quite present yourself enough that people feel like you're genuinely putting yourself out there. And so you sort of feel like you don't connect well with a lot of people. And that is something that you really need to reconsider, because it gets you in bad cycles. I feel like in social situations, either you guys really gravitate towards only the people that you know, or sometimes let the people you know say a lot more than what you would. So you almost let, you know, the people around you do the talking, and you sort of sit and observe, and then you feel like you don't really fit in to a group, which is a tricky situation. But you guys really need to consider that you have every opportunity to make your voice heard and just say something. It doesn't have to be great, it doesn't have to be, you know, a big deal, but I feel like you guys are almost stuck in a loop where you can't really put yourself out there, and you haven't quite worked out that that's something that you should do, and you should be getting out of, you know, what's comfortable and go into things that are a little more complex and a little dangerous, so to speak. But I think you guys definitely need to put yourselves out there and push yourselves forward, because here with the Queen of Wands, that is you. This is how your higher self sees you, and it is someone who is creative and, you know, great company to keep, and has so much energy and puts themselves out there. And I feel like the people really close to you see this. But in terms of the broader aspect of people, I feel like not so much work situations, but more like other social situations with people that you're not really close to, you tend to shut yourself down. But what your higher self really wants is for your energy to shine and people to see how happy you are and how much you enjoy things. And with this card here, you definitely seem to be struggling with putting yourself out there. But is it it's a hit or miss regardless of who you're with. Like, not everyone is going to like you. You don't have to, please everyone with your personality, but you just need to, at the very least, make yourself heard. And it could be, regarding your hobbies or regarding just your likes and dislikes, whether you're just going along with what everyone says or just being really true to yourself. So in terms of what you should do at this point is stand out from the group. That's the thing that your higher self really wants you to do, is make yourself powerful. Consider that you are powerful and voice that to everyone you come across. And if you're struggling to voice it, at least make your actions very genuine and make your actions very true to yourself. Don't try and replicate how someone else communicates, or don't try and replicate how people interact or say things. It's not going to work in your favor, and it's going to make you remain in this imposter energy that you feel like you have here. You just really need to consider what is actually worth it to you and what you want to do long term. And once you get past those barriers, things will feel easy. With the High Priestess here, it's all about being your most intuitive self, knowing who you are, not being, cautious of what you say or do. You just are. And I think mentally and in terms of like your inner fire, that seemed to have died out a little bit in terms of self-love. And I think that's what you need to get back to, is just accepting who you are and things in your life, and things for you mentally and emotionally will improve a lot more after that. Because right now you're definitely feeling like you don't belong, but it's not going to be a quick journey to getting there. It's going to take a while for you to get comfortable in your own skin. And that's the biggest thing that you have to learn, is that you have to look forward and you have to assess things that have happened in terms of getting to know people and trying to see where you might need to improve and where you want to really get to. So I hope that made sense. So that was your message for pile 3. Let me know how that went and how accurate I was, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye. Hi pile 4, this is reading on your higher self and what messages your higher self has for you. So with this group, I feel like you guys have been struggling with relationships a lot of the time, and you're struggling with, in the past maybe, with finding who is genuine and who really works for you. And it seems like you guys have actually got past that point with the Magician card here. I think you guys have really worked on figuring out for yourself who is worth your time and who isn't, and really trying to see past that sort of facade that a lot of people have, and figuring out for yourself what you require rather than in a relationship, rather than just what you want. And I think you guys have really honed into that and really got a good grasp of what you wanted. With I love, but I can be codependent card here. I think in the past you guys really struggled with setting yourself aside from who you're in a relationship with, and I think a lot of the time you have struggled with figuring out who works for you and who doesn't. It seems like a lot of the time you're trying to figure out who is being genuine and who is holding you back, and who you sort of let hold you back as well. I think you guys have really honed into your intuition with the Moon card here, and really focused on trying to see past things and really using your own gut feeling on who works and who doesn't, and who's worth your time and who's not. I think that's really, really great to see. This seems like a very light and happy reading for you guys because you got the World card as well. So what that shows is you guys have really worked hard on getting past this cycle, and you pretty much mastered figuring out who you feel a genuine connection to and separating yourself from unnecessary attachments as well when it comes to relationships, and that is really, really great to see. And you can see with the light here that you're carrying your new self forward and really have grown into who you are, so that's great to see. With the King of Wands here, it also shows that you guys are fully content with who you are as a person, and your soul is very content with who you are, and that is something that is pretty rare. So you guys have definitely worked really, really hard to push yourselves into who you are today. And usually I wouldn't say this with the Two of Rings here. Usually this card is something that is about balance and finding balance, but for some of you might be commitment, long-term, potentially marriage, just saying, to who that resonates to. But you guys definitely have found your inner selves and are really pushing yourself forward in a really positive light, and things will definitely work really well for you guys. And I don't see Spirit having anything that you guys need to work on. I think they're just really happy with your achievements, with what you've really struggled with, and how you've come really far with them as well. I think the main thing is just keeping that consistent and making sure that you don't fall back into old patterns. But for the most part, I think most of you have got well and truly past that and are very, very content with going forward in the same way. So that is lovely to see. And I think you guys have really good intuition and skills now that it's pretty much impossible to make any mistakes. And with the Ace of Wands here, definitely going forward in a very, very positive light. And I think you guys have a lot, like even with some of you, your dreams and aspirations will definitely, you'll see a lot of fruition in that aspect of your life as well. I think you guys definitely have a lot of potential love opportunities coming up too, if that is something you're interested in. There's definitely a lot of, magic coming into your life, and I think a lot of it has to do with you putting clear boundaries for yourself and being very certain with who you are and what you bring. So that is the messages for you, pile 4. Hope you enjoyed the reading, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.